Hello, welcome. Dr. Sushma Singh this side. Today in Unit 7, Marxian Perspective on Development, we start our topic Critical Theory, Frankfurt School, from the last lecture, and the point where we are going to start is materialism and idealism. Critical theory, as thus primarily a European social theory influenced by the German tradition of Marx and Weber and by the experience of fascism, but also by the changing aspect of modern capitalism. Critical theory began by putting Marxian political economy at the center of the analysis, and thus the early critical theory was materialistic and committed to socialism. One of the major features of this perspective was that all of the social life is a reflection of the economic system, and the role of social theory was to investigate the ways in which this changes and affected people. Rather, critical theory describes the complex set of mediation that interconnect consciousness and society, culture and economy, state and citizens. Critical theory thus developed an approach which incorporated both the economic and material and an analysis of individuals and their social psychology, attempting to deal with aspects of what we might refer to as the agency structure issue today. But neither the material nor the consciousness was primarily in determining the other. Rather, these theorists paid much attention to culture, law, ethics, fashion, public opinion, sport, lifestyle, and leisure, topic which had not previously been incorporated in Marxian analysis. Calhoun noted how Marx shared with the young Hegel an attempt to conceptualize the absolute creativity of human being through the example of art. But unlike Hegel, he extended this into a more general analysis of labor. The Frankfurt School theorists took up this challenge once again and made art and aesthetic a central feature of their analysis. The next point we are going to discuss is supradisciplinary. Critical theorists are critical of Marxism when it is mechanically materialistic or too determinist. They were especially critical of branches of philosophy, especially positivism and scientific method associated with it. They are also critical of sociology and other social sciences for being insufficiently critical and having only partial analysis. They thus set very high standards for social science, ones that they themselves were ultimately unable to meet. Given that the initial concerns of these theorists was to understand the reason why class consciousness had not developed among the working class, their first project was to conduct the empirical study of the white-collar working class in Germany, to obtain the information concerning their physical, psychological, social and political attitudes and combine this with theoretical ideas from the various social sciences. The findings of this study were that the actual revolutionary potential of the German working class was less than what usually assumed, and that while the workers might resist a fascist attempt to take over the government, it was unlikely that they would undertake the sacrifices necessary for a socialist revolution. While this approach provided interesting results, it is not clear that in studies of this type The approaches of these critical theorists differed all that much from some of the conventional social science approaches. Now the next point is commodity exchange. Beginning with the commodity and commodity production as the key feature of the capitalist society, they argued that capitalist market relations and the values were penetrating ever more areas of life. Exchange was becoming the primary way in which people related to and interacted with each other in a capitalist market society. Consequently, reunification, the turning of humans, culture, nature, and everything else into commodities whose fundamental substance was exchange value, came to be dominate relationship and activity within the capitalist society. That is, rather than human relationship between individuals, exchange relationship come to dominate interpersonal relationship. Marx had noted this, but this line of thought was much further developed by the critical theorists. They looked on capitalism in the 20th century as extending this to many aspects of society previously untouched or relatively unaffected by exchange relations. These are aspects of personal life such as love, friendship, and the family being reduced to such form of exchange. Consumption became organized by such forces as well, so that there were increasingly oppressive uniformities and identities. The concern was with rising sameness and conformity in society that did not let underlying tensions and contradictions to surface and be amenable to public attention and action. They viewed such forces as stifling individuality and particularity and producing a certain sameness among all members of the society. This aspect of capitalism has developed much more than in 1920s and 30s, so that this part of their critique certainly has an important resonance in today's economy, media, and society. Consumer and media capitalism have vastly extended to their reach into all aspects of the consumer society and life in general, and a critical approach to contemporary society can benefit from and use the idea developed by these critical theorists. Now the next point is administered society. A major feature of the political sociology of critical theory is the notion of an administered society. Weber had argued that forces of rationality and rationalization were becoming increasingly dominant in Western society, rather than traditional or charismatic forces being dominant in social organization. Weber argued that calculation, accounting, considered decision making, and guided social action by careful examining of how means could be used to accomplish particular ends were forms that had become more forceful in Western society. These forces are clearest in economics, business, and formal organizations. But Weber argued that these same forces made their effects felt in politics, education, and even the arts. Critical theorists added these ideas of Weber on bureaucracy, rationalization, and administration to the Marxian ideas of exchange and commodification. While Marx was primarily concerned with the economic sphere, The critical theorists extended their analysis to the political and social sphere, combining the ideas of exchange and administered society. The result was a view that the capitalism and the society associated with it was a totalizing system which attempted to penetrate every area of life from self-constitution to interpersonal relations to education. These totalizing processes were leading to the destruction of individuality and particularity. One form of this was an economic analysis which argued that capitalism had been transformed from uncontrolled and relatively free markets to a form of state capitalism. While Marx and some earlier economists may have foreseen some aspects of this, they did not foresee the manner in which the state would intervene in the economic sphere. Friedrich Pollock, one of the economists associated with the Frankfurt School, developed a model of state capitalism whereby the state acquires power over money and credit and regulates production and prices. Furthermore, management becomes separate from ownership. While these critical theorists may have overestimated the role of the state in economics and underestimated the vibrancy of capitalism as an economic system, theories of this sort have contributed to our understanding of capitalism and how it evolves. There is a strong political aspect to the economic sphere, and many aspects of the economy are administered. Here we want to close this lecture. Thanks for listening.